Mr. Kore is one of them. The real funny part is that only 25 to 40% of the produce produced by in agriculture fetches you money, which is food, fruit. Rest is all totally wasted. Look at the amount of money, effort, everything that I put in, and what comes out is agriculture residues, which are not used for anything. How can you run an industry? Think of this as an industry. Would you like to set up a company in which only 25 to 40% of the produce gives you money and the rest is all thrown away? And yet we accept that. And that, to my mind, is the single most important reason why agriculture is still uneconomical. The amount, in fact, my produce might fail. I may not get enough cotton, I may not get enough fruit, but I have put in this huge amount of energy, solar, my physical process, water, everything, into producing this structure, which is called as a biomass. And for that I do not get any money. And that is our thesis, that should fetch money. And if we give the money, proper money to that, because electricity is very costly, if we give the proper money for the agricultural residue, the farmers will become overnight much better off. And that can produce, I'll show you that it can produce a huge amount of wealth in the country. Residues can produce three types of fuel. Liquid fuel through the lignocellulosic conversion of residues into ethanol, or pyrolysis oil. Pyrolysis oil is a very interesting thing. When you take a biomass, you combust it. What comes out is a lot of smoke if you do not have enough of oxygen. If you condense that smoke very rapidly, you produce an oil which is called as pyrolysis oil, which is equivalent to diesel oil. You can run, in Sweden they ran 5 megawatt of genset on this oil. There are some still problems, there are some still R&D going on. And it's a very fascinating, this is the type of things that you sometimes feel little. In 1992, I was the only Indian to be invited to this first biomass energy conference in Interlaken, Switzerland. This was the European Biomass Energy Conference, where the world's leaders in biomass energy came, and it was a very small conference, 150 people. And at that time, this pyrolysis oil technology had come. There were three main people in this technology, one from Canada, one from Europe, and one from America. And at the time I was discussing, I said, we have a lot of agriculture residues in India. We have sugar cane, because coming from Maharashtra, sugar cane. This, in fact, the photograph is a sugar cane field burning in Maharashtra. Whole Maharashtra in the winter is beautiful. It looks beautiful because the whole Maharashtra lights up. At night, the farmer puts the field after harvesting sugar cane. The leaves are burned, most of them, because it's a wasteful problem. So I said, can we do something? At that time, they said, we will completely offer you the technology for $500,000. So I came back, and as a young, foolish person, I wrote a 5-page letter to Narasimha Rao. And I also wrote the same letter to Mr. Abdul Kalam. I never got a reply from Abdul Kalam, but I got, within 15 days, a personal letter from Narasimha Rao, which was very surprising, because people told me that you should put it on and it's still there, because he never writes. So, and he said, Dr. Rajvanshi, thank you very much for bringing this technology to my notice, and I am going to send it to Ministry of, this, at the time it was MNES. I got a reply from MNES, who told you to write to the Prime Minister? That's number one. Number two, this is an extremely old technology. We are very well aware of it, and in due time, we will take care of it. And that was the end of the matter. Today, there are quite a number of plants in China and Europe, and today you cannot even come within a kilometer of these technologies, because it's a proprietary technology now. And they were ready to offer, the same people who were ready to offer the technology at almost $500,000, which is nothing, peanuts, has become quite a big thing now. So tires, residues, so many things are being converted, and now because of the technology, they are using this condensation of this oil into direct petroleum. So there's a lot of these things can happen, but we, like in anything else, we lose. We have lost a lot of time, etc. Then this residues can also be converted into methane, biogas, and finally electricity. And there are thousands of megawatt of power which is produced in Europe and United States on agriculture residues, on biomass for power, and we still are struggling. And I think with this new Electricity Act, probably more and more will come. By the way, we are very proud to tell you that we were the principal author of the national policy on biomass power generation. Ministry of Non-Conventional Resources set up a high-power task force on my idea, which was put in 1992, and it ran for 8 years, this policy, but this was before the Electricity Act, so not too many players came. But now the Electricity Act, more players will come. Theoretically, these residues can produce 156 billion liters per year of ethanol, which is 42% of India's oil demand, or 80% of the oil demand via pyrolysis oil, or 80,000 megawatt of electric power. Theoretically, 80,000 megawatt of electric power is almost 50% of the total installed capacity of India. Look at the huge amount of energy that can be produced from these agricultural residues. This could be a 2,000 billion rupees per year industry. 2 lakh crores per year. It's a huge amount, and yet today no farmer gets any money for his residues. Residues partially are used as a fodder, partially are used as in bedding and etc. But majority of it is simply wasted because it is a disposable problem. The farmer wants his field immediately to be harnessed after his crops are harvested, and he wants it to be finished. And so this is the situation. Besides this, it can also provide 50 million jobs. There is a rough estimate, and this is not only our numbers but numbers from all over the world. 625 jobs are created per megawatt of electricity production through biomass. And if you translate that 80,000, this is the number that you get. So plus minus here and there, but there's huge potential for the creation of job and the wealth. With increased industrial demand of fuel and electricity, large tracts of farmlands may come under fuel crops. And this is a serious issue which is already taking place. In fact, I get huge phone calls for, because we did a lot of work in our sweet sorghum, etc. I'll show you that so many acres we would like to put in sweet sorghum for alcohol production, so many acres we would like to put in because we also do a lot of work on safflower. The safflower oil that you eat, it comes from our variety NARI NH1. We are very major producers of safflower varieties and hybrids. And the Europeans and Americans want these huge areas, and it is already a colonization process taking place. In Africa, large areas have come under fuel crops for utilization in Europe and United States. And this is going to happen because people who have money are the people who have cars, are the people who require electricity. And the people who have money, they are going to run the agriculture of tomorrow. So we have to be very careful. The food versus fuel debate is going to become very strident. It is already becoming. So in that process, when we started early in 1980s to work on this fuel process, we looked at sweet sorghum. Sweet sorghum is a crop which is a multi-purpose crop. It produces a very sugary stem which you can crush, and it is almost has as much sugar as sugar cane. We introduced this crop in India in early 1970s. We have worked for the last 20-25 years, and now there is a national program by the Ministry of Agriculture on sweet sorghum as an alternative to sugar cane for alcohol production. And this is a crop which produces the fuel from its stem. It produces the grain from the head, which you can use for bhakri. And after the juice is extracted, it is very good fodder for the animals because it is chewable as compared to sugar cane, which is not chewable by the animals. And I believe that the farm and the farmers are the backbone of any nation. Since they can produce food, fuel and wealth from the land, they should be helped. And they can be helped through the technology. And that is what our thesis is. And as I said that in any agriculture, 25 to 40% produces food and the rest is all residues. So no remuneration from residues, hence farming is uneconomical. And I also believe that a sophisticated technology is needed in farming, lacking